Gentlemen, so for the past month, I've been trying to figure out how to do this video without looking like a humongous douche. and I haven't figured it out, but here we go. So for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you know that I got a new car a while ago. It's actually been a month now. For those of you who don't follow me on Instagram, I have no idea what you're waiting for. There's a link down below to come and join the fun. I got a new car, and it is a fantastic car, and I absolutely love it. It's taken me a few weeks to wrap my brain around this because for whatever reason, I'm an emotional weirdo, and so I'm going to show you the car. It's not going to be like any cool, like super cool, like aerial shots or me. I'm just going to show you the car. And if you're interested in the weird ridiculousness that is my emotional state surrounding the car, stick around afterwards and I'll tell you that story. And here it is, the 2018 BMW M4. So this car is pretty mean. It has 440 horsepower because it does have the competition package, which gives it the sexier wheels. It also has a little hump in the hood, and the hump in the hood. You guys that are car guys are probably cringing at this point. Car is incredibly comfortable. One of the favorite things about this car is actually the steering wheel. It just feels great. Carbon fiber, everything else that's not carbon is actually this very supple leather. It's just a badass car, and like I said, it's incredibly comfortable because of these seats. M4 logo that actually illuminates at night, and you've got a pretty nice sized back seat, which is also super cool. I don't know what to show you on a car review. It's sort of like, hey, this is the car, isn't it cool? And that's that. I absolutely love the car. It is the most fun I've ever had driving anything, and it is spectacular. Now let me tell you quickly-ish the weird story about the car. Okay, so it was time for me to get a new car. My accountant was like, hey, if you want to lease a new car through your business, you can write a large portion of that off. And since I'm all about saving tax dollars these days, I was like, all right. And I'd put off, he told me this last year, but I've put it off because it just felt wasteful to me, to be completely honest. I had a perfectly amazing 10-year-old, 160,000 mile Infiniti G35, but I called my mom and I was like, hey, could you actually use my car if I gave it to you? And her and my stepfather are on a fixed income, and so money's tight. And they're like, yeah, we share a car, which I knew. And so I was able to give them the car, and that sort of gave me permission in my mind to go buy a new car. All right, so now it's time for me to pick out a new car. I wanted something that was fast. I wanted a sports car, but I felt like I needed a back seat. There's something about just not having one that was unacceptable to me, considering I'm going to have this car for 3 years. And so I first went to the Audi dealership, and I drove the S5. And it's a fast car, it's a pretty car, it's a great car. But I got done and I was like, it's nice, but I didn't want for my next car. I wanted like, I wanted to love the next car that I got. And so I went to BMW. There, I was going to drive BMW, and then I wasn't sure if I didn't like BMW, what was next. I'm looking at the different cars. I look at the 4 Series, but then I saw an M4, this white M4 with a carbon fiber roof, and I'm like, that's really pretty. Can I drive it? And the guy's like, yeah, it's a different car than the 4 Series. I'm like, let me drive it. And so he's like, well, what are you looking for in a car? I'm like, I'm looking to fall in love with a car. And so he goes in, he gets the keys, and we go around. I'm like, what? This is spectacular. Then he lets me drive. And I'm driving, and for the test drive, it's this little circle lap around like the area where the dealership is. And I go around one time, and we get back. I'm like, can I take it around again? He's like, yeah, sure. And this time, I drive it. And I get back, and I said, hey, can I take it around a third time? And he goes, Aaron, it's getting dark out. And I'm like, okay. And that's the moment I knew, okay, I love this car. I don't want to stop driving it. So after the test drive, I get back, and they just got in a brand new 2018 M4 with the competition package that I showed you. And it was the first one that they had gotten in, and the first one they were actually selling in Georgia. And I decided that that was the car for me. So we worked out the numbers, and I ended up leasing the car for 3 years. My business leased me the car, which was very nice of Pete and Pedro. I'm all excited. I get the car, I drive off, and I get it home, and I'm looking at it, and all of a sudden it hits. This wave of, oh crap, what did I do? Not because I couldn't afford it, not because it was an expensive car and an expensive payment and all that. It was more about what it represented that I was incredibly uncomfortable with. And for the first 2 weeks of having this car, I was honestly embarrassed. I felt like I was being ostentatious. I felt like I was showing off. I felt like I was bragging. And it was really weird. I was so uncomfortable with the idea of actually having this car, which is so bizarre because most people, most normal people, when they get something that they've worked hard for, you know, they're super excited. They're like, yes, and they want to show it off, and they're super proud. And that is exactly what the problem was for me. I was never, and I have never worked for stuff. Material possessions, cars, and fancy this and that has never been my motivator. It's not what I get up every day and work super hard. It's not to buy stuff. It's to feel fulfilled. And so I think that this car, sort of for the first few weeks, it was the first thing that I have bought myself that I felt was like a flag. I was planting in the ground, like, boom, this is a symbol of success. Now, don't get me wrong. I have a few nice watches, and I've got nice shoes, and I've got some nice stuff. But unless you're into watches, unless you're into shoes, unless you're into suits, you have no idea. But cars, everybody knows. And I was very, very, very uncomfortable with it. In my soul, I feel like I'm a 10-year-old Infiniti G35. And this was something very different, and it took some getting used to. But one of the things, and when I think about it, because I'm a thinker, as you probably know, when I thought about what my old car represented, it was the first thing that I bought myself after I filed bankruptcy and after sort of my credit started to recover. And so I remember like it was yesterday, going to the Infiniti dealership. My Toyota RAV4 was falling apart, and that car was the only one I wanted. I knew what I wanted. I saw it driving by, and I loved the new body style of the Infiniti G35. And so I go, and my wife at the time was like, "Hey, do you need me to come and co-sign for you?" And it was a humiliating thing for her to ask, but I didn't know. And I told her, I said, you know, no, I don't want you to co-sign. I said, I'm going to go. If I can't buy this by myself, then I'm not going to get it. And so it was really the first thing that I bought, and they approved me, and it was the first thing I bought that sort of symbolized that I was back on my feet and that I was going to make it happen. Fast forward 10 years, and I'm going car shopping again with a very, very different, you know, I'm in a very different place, and it's a great place, and I'm very fortunate. But at the end of the day, you know, it's a nice car. I love the car. I love driving the car, but I'm not like super proud of it. I'm proud of some other things much more than that car, like this. This plaque that I got from YouTube is honestly one of my most prized possessions. Some other things that I find incredibly special are this building. If you missed the video that I talked about that or showed you my building or gave you the office tour that explains why it's so special to me, that link is down in the description as well. T. Shanley, not only is it the most amazing skincare system in the history of skin, it also is one of my most proud possessions, just because it's an incredible idea. It's a fantastic problem. The problem is that you're not using it, and if you want to, there is an amazing, when I say amazing, amazing discount code in the description. What? I got a car to pay for, which is another reason I should tell you about how proud I am of that was a joke, for the record. Pete and Pedro, the most incredible hair product in the history of Bueno hair. Gentlemen, both products have incredible, inspirational even, discount codes down in the description. But it's true, there are amazing discount codes in the description. I do have a car to pay for, and I am super proud of these two companies that I've started. They mean a tremendous deal to me. A lot of stuff does. Car is nice. It's awesome. Trust me, it is amazing car. But it's been hard to get used to it. Because at the end of the day, it's a car, it's a nice car, and I am still that poor kid from Philadelphia who has a tough time with I don't know. I struggle with I guess I struggle with success sometimes. And I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I see a lot of these YouTubers, and that's the other reason why I didn't want to do this video. It wasn't until I posted that picture. I posted the picture of me holding Alpha next to M4. It wasn't until I posted that picture that I realized that people sort of saw that as like an inspirational thing. Like, hey, I can aspire to, this, and a lot of people were like, hey, do the video about your car. But up until that, like, I wouldn't let the sales associate take a picture of me standing next to the car. It's not about stuff. It's not about having stuff. If that's what motivates you, great. And if that's what makes you stay in school, study hard, work your ass off, and accomplish things, then fantastic. But for me, it was something very different. It was an internal sort of fire and desire to feel fulfilled. And this YouTube channel fulfills me. The plaque, the businesses that I've started fulfills me. A nice car is super fun to drive, trust me, and I absolutely love it. But it's just a car. And, if you took the car away from me tomorrow, no big deal. If you took my businesses away from me or this channel, that would be heartbreaking. All right, I gotta wrap this video. I told you it was this head of mine sometimes gets me in trouble, but I gotta go. I'm gonna go drive my freaking badass. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to. I'm gonna edit. I gotta work, gentlemen. Gotta pay for that sweet ass ride.